Good day, gentlemen. Today, for 7.4, we're going to go through more elimination. Okay, so we're going to work with the same method that we worked with in 7.3 to solve these systems of equations, but these are going to be a little bit more difficult because these ones you have to multiply first, okay, in order to get your cancellations. All right, so you could obviously do this equation without any problem using substitution or using graphing, right? But instead, we're just going to, for the sake of learning this, we're going to learn how to do it with elimination with multiplying first, okay? So we see that the reason we can't eliminate right now is because we have 2x and a 4x and a 1y and an 11y, right? And because of that, we can't add or subtract in any way that's going to allow us to eliminate anything. However, you can see here that there's a pretty easy way to make this equation, right, to get 2 to 4, okay? So if we multiply this top equation, the whole equation, by 2 first, then we'll have something that we can actually work with, right? So you could multiply by 2 and subtract, or to make it even easier on you, you can multiply by -2, and then you could just add them up, right? So that's what we're going to do. So when you multiply this by -2, you have to distribute it to everything, and we'll have -4x minus 2y equals positive 18. Okay? And on the bottom, you won't change anything. Still 4x plus 11y equals 9. And now we can just do our adding. Okay, so -4x plus 4x is going to go away. -2y plus 11y is 9y. And 18 plus 9 is 27. Divide by 9, and that'll give us y equals 3. Okay? Once we get y equals 3, then we can just plug in our 3 back into any of the original equations. I usually use the ones with the smallest numbers, so I'm going to use this original one all the way back up there on top. And we'll have 2x plus 3 equals -9. Okay, we just got to solve for x. So subtract 3 to both sides to cancel those out. We'll have 2x equals -12. Divide by 2 to make x equal -6. So the answer to this equation would be 0.6(3). There it is. Okay? One other example before we go to the word problems is going to be right here. Okay? So once again, we don't have any matchups. Okay? So although we don't have matchups, we need to first get everything in line. Remember I said to get everything in standard form, ax plus by equals c. The top equation is fine. This bottom equation, we need to add 7x to both sides. Okay, when you do that, we'll have 7x plus 4y equals -8. And the other equation won't change. 2x minus 3y equals 6. Now, this one's a little bit more difficult because the only way to multiply any of these to get them to be equal to each other, you're going to have to use you'd have to use fractions, okay? But you can actually multiply both equations, and that's the easier way to do it. So we see here, we see this plus 4 and minus 3, okay? So what's the least common multiple of 4 and 3 that is going to be the same? Well, it's going to be 12, okay? So if we wanted the top to be 12y and the bottom to be -12y, all we'd have to do is multiply this top by 3 and multiply the bottom by 4. Okay? So multiply the top by 3, you have to distribute the 3 everywhere, and we'll have 21x plus 12y equals -24. And on the bottom, distribute this 4 everywhere, and we'll have 8x minus 12y equals positive 24. Now, we do your addition. The 12y's go away. We're left with 29x equals 0. Divide both sides by 29, and we know that x equals 0. Okay? Now, once we get x equals 0, we can plug the x back in to figure out what y is. I'm going to use this bottom equation here, because I think that one's a little bit easier. And we'll have 2 times 0 minus 3y equals 6. 2 times 0 is 0, so you don't need to worry about that. So negative 3y equals 6, divide by negative 3, and y equals negative 2. That's it. So let's apply this idea to a word problem, okay? Another word problem. Obviously, the hardest part about this is setting up our system of equations. So this one says you bought a total of 20 pounds of grass seed in a nursery for $168. You paid $9 per pound for the Kentucky bluegrass and $6 per pound for the tall fescue. Those are types of grass. So you just need to find out how much of each type of grass seed did you buy. Well, we need to create equations, but before we create the equations, we have to figure out what we're looking for. We have to figure out what our variables are going to be, what our x and our y are going to be. So we always look to the question. It says, how much of each type of grass seed did you buy? So the two types of grass seed are going to be our x and our y. So we'll make Kentucky bluegrass x and tall fescue y. Okay, so we know that. Now we need to find our two equations. It says you bought a total of 20 pounds of grass seed, and you only bought two different types of grass seed. So that means that x plus y, however much Kentucky bluegrass, plus however much tall fescue, has to equal 20. So first equation, x plus y equals 20. All right? And you keep reading, and you know that you spent a total of $168, $9 per pound of Kentucky bluegrass, $6 per pound of tall fescue. So that means that $9 times however many pounds of Kentucky bluegrass, so 9x, plus $6 times however many pounds of tall fescue, which is y, has to equal a total of $168. There's our two equations. Now, the easiest way to probably do this is with substitution. Okay, so you could do it that way, solving for either the x or the y in the first equation and moving on from there. But instead, we're going to do it through elimination with multiplying first. Okay, so you pick one of these two, either the x or the y, to get rid of. All right, in my opinion, I think it'd probably be easier to do the y just because it's a smaller number. I just would prefer to multiply by smaller numbers if possible. So if you ask yourself, what do I need to multiply this top equation by to get us a negative 6y? Well, the answer to that's going to be negative 6. Okay, so we distribute that negative 6 everywhere. And the whole point of distributing that negative, multiplying by negative 6, is because we want the y's to cancel out. Okay, so we'll have negative 6x minus 6y equals negative 6 times 20 is negative 120. All right, and the bottom equation doesn't change at all. 9x plus 6y equals 168. Okay, now we add straight down. Negative 6x plus 9x is going to be positive 3x. Our y's, positive 6, negative 6, cancel each other out. And 168 minus 120 is 48. Oops, bad 4. Okay, better. Great. So 3x equals 48. Divide both sides by 3, and x equals 16. Now once you get to 16, you know that x plus y has to equal 20. So what do you need y to be in order to add them up to equal 20? Well, y equals 4. So you need 4 pounds of the tall fescue and 16 pounds of the Kentucky bluegrass. And that's it.